Alright, I'm going to do a video updating the current situation with primers, powder, and some reloading components here in March of 2023. Now, I just went and ran a test of 5 different foreign primers, okay? And really it's kind of inconclusive, and the reason for that is I believe there's a serious problem with quality control in the production of primers especially, but all components, okay? Now, the thing about primers, okay, a lot of people said, they're hard primers or whatever, and it appears that this year, I've heard a few other channels talking about it, that it looks like they're going to be, the production demand has eased up enough to where we're going to see more US made primers come out onto the market. But the person that was describing what they're hearing warned that the price is going to be a lot different. And we'll go over that as we go along. Right now I was getting these foreign made primers for about anywhere from $65 to $100 per thousand. Now during the crisis, the scalpers, whatever you want to call them, I've seen it go up to about $180 per thousand, okay? Which you may say that's outrageous, but I do know a local shop where a guy went in and bought large rifle primers, and it was $30 for a 100 primer tray, one of these 10 trays in here, which that makes 1,000 primers worth $300, okay, when it used to be 30 bucks for 1,000. Now, was the gun shop ripping them off? Well, if the guy only got 2,000 primers for like 3 months, he's running a retail store, and his rule was if you wanted 100 large rifle primers, it was 30 bucks, and he'd only sell you one. If you needed another 100, he'd say, come back tomorrow, I'll sell you another one. All right? Because the retailer didn't have anything to sell, and he had to keep the store open. So in a way, would I pay $30 for 100 primers? No. Do I blame the guy for doing it? It's a tough call, okay? Say he sold 1,000 primers to somebody for 60 bucks, 70 bucks. Then he has no primers for the next several months, okay? It's a tough call. So the primer deal is, like I said when I was reviewing these, we only get a certain percentage for commercial sale from the major producers. And you really haven't seen many coming out, but this year I guess they're caught up, and you're starting to see, at least with the online dealers, like 1,000 rounds of 9mm is starting to come down to about $250 for 1,000 rounds for a case, which used to be about $350 6-7 months ago. So you're seeing certain calibers are getting backed up, and certain calibers are hard to find. Now there's a lot of hype that there was a place in Texas going to start producing primers, and the guy talking about it, there was delays, and finally I guess they got this thing up and running. But is it really going to change the price? Because in the end, I believe when all is said and done, you're never going to see 1,000 primers for 30 bucks again, okay? And also, quality control. I believe there's some serious problems in getting the correct material and raw materials to make the primers correctly. That's why these primers are coming out hard, or you're having light strikes or misfires, is because there's an inconsistency in the quality control of the materials getting used to make them. Because I've heard people I think I seen some Winchester primers come out. And somebody put a comment in there that even the Winchester primers were getting light strikes, or he said duds. They were duds, they wouldn't work. Which, this can plague the whole industry. Also, that's why I got ZSR, there's a couple videos of guys using ZSR ammo, not primers, they're ammo, okay? And two fellas in the 308 Winchester, or 7.62 by I think 58, whatever that NATO round is, if you want to go that way. He was shooting a Springfield Armory M1A1, and they took it out, him and his friends were shooting it out of the box of ammo. They had like 15 rounds go off. He loaded the last 5 into the gun, was shooting, and the 17th round, there was like, he fired the gun, and he showed they were shooting the gun, everything was normal until the 17th round, and then boom, blew out the magazine, cracked the stock. I mean, it was bad. From what he showed, and he's just an average person, he wasn't reloading or anything, and it was a quality firearm, quite expensive one at that. Had that catastrophic failure. From what I seen and what he was showing in this video, it appears that on the cartridge, it like cracked right around the actual base, or split, and the whole back end of the cartridge and head separated. Now you're generating roughly 50,000 psi in the way a case is supposed to work. The base and web of the case is super thick, and that's what seals into your barrel in action. If that thing separated and broke off at the base, then you just dump about 50,000 psi of force down, probably down the ramp, and that's what blew the magazine and cracked the stock and everything. That's a quality control problem with the brass. Because overload, rifle cartridges usually just about use all their case capacity depending on the powder, but they're pretty full. So it's kind of hard to double charge a rifle cartridge, or to have the wrong powder put in there, but if it's in the same box and that. So it wasn't a powder charge. I believe the problem is the brass was severely defective, and that's what caused the failure, okay? So that's another thing. We're getting plagued with actual loaded ammo with quality control problems, and there have been several recalls. So primers, we may see it easing up, and we may see more coming out, but the price is going to be higher, and a lot of people put the comments in there that the prices are too high, they're not going to pay that, but I doubt very much they're ever going to come down. Now we'll go on to powders, and I'll tell you. A couple things with powders. One strange thing that's going on is certain types of powder. This is one. I've used this IMR 4320. Okay, I use this powder. It's an older powder. I used it for my load in a 6.5 Carcano with the Hornet A 160 grain bullet. And somebody was asking me, and I said, just get this powder and load it along like that. They don't make it anymore. We're seeing a lot of powders being dropped. The older ones, and even the new ones by IMR. A friend of mine mentioned during a live chat, they eliminated a whole line of these new powders that he was just starting to use, and he made some videos. They're not made anymore. They're gone. Okay, another one, Trail Boss. This was very popular. I mean, I make these cowboy, you call them cowboy action loads. It's the older Western style cartridges and the older guns, and this stuff was pretty neat. People like this powder, and I used it in 45 Long Colt, 4440, and several other loads, and it worked out pretty nice and was safe. The guns liked it. It was accurate. No longer made. Okay. And then pricing. We'll start with these here because I got two older prices. This I bought quite a few years ago, long before the current crisis, and $26 for a pound of IMR gunpowder. That was about the going rate. That was what you were paying, 24, 25, 26, depending on who you bought it from. I think I got this at a gun show, so it's always $1 or $2 more than if you went to a big box store. But he may have been putting a sales tax in it, you know, just out of convenience. So, can't say. Going into, I believe it was Sportsman's Warehouse, the only place that has powder every now and again. And I bought this last summer, just walking through the aisle, and if I see something I know that I can use, and you were limited to only 1 pound of powder. The price on this, $46.99, okay, from $26 2 years ago. Anywhere you find 1 pound cans of powder, they are $46.99. You know, I don't think they're scalping you. I believe if you go online and when you see it you can buy it directly from the manufacturer, like Hodgdon or whatever. It's $46, $49 plus $30 hazmat and $15 shipping. So that turns this $46 pound of gunpowder into about $94 to get it delivered to your house. Okay, if and when it comes up. They won't give you notices. You have to go to their damn website, and when it pops up, it pops up. I doubt, even when stuff becomes available, if they still manufacture it, okay, because forget this, okay, it's not manufactured no more. It's going to be about, you know, $46 to $50 per pound, all right? I was sitting there, got an email notification, IMR, 8-pound jugs of powder. And we'll use this as an example. It was another brand, and it was Graf & Sons. Now, Graf & Sons, I don't really believe raises their prices up. They had enough of the 8-pound jugs to where I got an email, and he said, just get this email, respond to it as quick as you can. Okay, we have it in stock. It was another number of powder. It was another powder. It wasn't this exact powder. But when I bought this from them a couple years ago, it's $179.98. So $180 for an 8-pound caddy or jug of powder was about the going rate. Now that would vary. It was about 180 average. Some of them, an 8-pound canister would go up a little bit higher. Okay, some powders are a little more expensive than others. But that was about it, $180 for 8-pounders. The price there was $305 or $310 or something like that. So for IMR brand of powder, which I believe this powder and that one were about priced the same. So now you're looking at $300 from like $180. Now you're going a little over three and some change for an 8-pound keg of powder. And I believe when it's all said and done, this stuff comes in stock if they still make the powder that you're looking for, okay, you're going to see an increase in it. And that changes the whole game, okay, because now all of this is done recreational wise. You know, people who reload, if you shoot a lot, reloading is good, and that's why I get these big jugs of powder, so I don't have to run to the store. Say I load 100 rounds of rifle caliber and I'm using 40 grains of powder, you can go through a 1-pound can pretty quick. That's why I get the 8-pound jugs, okay. And it's a recreational hobby, okay. It's what I like to do, and you know, now it's a lot more expensive, okay. So that's something we're probably going to see. And also, I'm going to make a separate video a lot of components have been out of stock, be it bullets or brass. And of course, the fact I collect a lot of odd military guns, and again, Grafton Son, and there's 2 or 3 reloading suppliers that generally stock the old military calibers, like the 8mm Lebel, 303 British, another one, you know, like 8mm Nambu brass and all that stuff, and the Carcanos. Okay, the Carcanos, they brought, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of them into the country these past few years, and 6.5 Carcano ammo and 7.35 especially. People have been sending me a lot of requests. You know, this was one powder I used for a favorite load, no longer available. Hornady was making brass. Hornady was making bullets. The first one they dropped was the 6.5 bullet, that big torpedo bullet. That's been out of production for over a year. Somebody just sent me an email this week, 7.35 bullets, which are really unusual. The jacketed bullet is 300 thousandths diameter. Nobody else makes it. Hornady was the only one making a bullet. Worked well. I got a bunch of them, but several people have messaged me and said they're no longer in production, and I looked, Hornady stopped making the actual projectiles. So now you have to either fabricate or resize a larger bullet or end up with just a cast bullet. And I will make a separate video just on that cartridge because it's in pretty high demand and there's a lot of the guns out there and a lot of people are looking for that, but that's another story. But this is what we're facing, and even if, say, like this was a pet load for 243 Win or something that you had, now you can't get this ammo or powder to do your reloads. And you got to develop something again or find something that performs about the same. And, you know, it's just a pain. But that's what we're looking at. You know, there's going to be, if the stuff becomes available, you'll probably see more availability as we come, but the prices are going to be double. It's about double. Or, you know, it's going to be higher. And I doubt it'll ever get back to where it was, okay? And a lot of stuff has been dropped, be it powder or components. A lot of the more obscure things that they really didn't sell a lot of are probably going to become more difficult to find if they're still produced, you know. So now you got to look in and assess what you have. Like right now I'm going to assess my brass and that, and certain things that aren't going to be made I'm going to have to conserve and be more mindful and take an accounting of what I have, you know. So it's going to be tougher to carry on in this hobby, but that's my update for now, guys. And unfortunately, sadly, that's the way it looks. It's going to become more expensive to reload your own ammo.